What's going on, guys? Climate data report here with the Monday edition of the climate update for Monday, August 21st, 2023. Hopefully you are keeping safe. Hopefully you're keeping cool. There's a lot of climate news going on right now in the United States. We have Hillary, which just baffled parts of California. In Washington, which is where we're going to start out today, there are ongoing wildfires, and unfortunately, these wildfires have now caused two deaths, and this is not good. As of yesterday, there were upwards of 300 structures that have been burned. I am assuming that number is likely going to be up when we get an update today. Then there was this, which I saw yesterday, and this is from Dr. Greg Postel, from the Weather Channel. Unreal heat indices in Kansas this afternoon. This was on Sunday afternoon. Actual temperature at Lawrence is 102, but with a dew point of 83 degrees. The dew point actually got up to 83 degrees in Kansas. No, not on the Gulf Coast. No, not on the Atlantic Coast or the Pacific Coast. In Kansas, in the middle of the plains, the dew point, there was that much moisture in the atmosphere that it reached 83 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat index was 131 degrees. That's just historical for anywhere in the United States. It's just crazy to even think about that. That shows you how hot it is right now in the plains, and that continues today. More on that in a little bit. Getting back to the latest climate news, we got more. Here's post-tropical storm Hillary as it pushed into Nevada and California. I mean, look at these floodwaters that you're seeing here. It just caused flooding everywhere. Even portions of I-10 had to be closed, and you're seeing portions of Palm Springs, Death Valley. You're seeing flooding ongoing in the desert. Usually Death Valley is very hot and dry. It was earlier this summer. Now, Death Valley, there's a lot of water laying around. I mean, it's just unbelievable what is going on with Hillary. And then here on the East Coast, we have this in New Jersey. Worthon State Forest. Now, there have been known to be fires there before. There's an active fire going on there now. And it is up to 600 acres in size, and it's only 10% contained as of Monday. So this is something that we're going to be watching as well. Look at this. Look at this. Look at these flames. This is just unreal. And if you recall, in the East, or in the Mid-Atlantic, we had a relatively wet July or June going into July. It's been a little bit drier lately, and there was some dry northwest winds over the weekend, and because of these dry winds, it's going over what's now drier ground. It has led to this wildfire, which is ongoing. All right, let's take a look at the national satellite picture, and you can see here a perfect example of the ring of fire is showing up here on the satellite picture. You can see here's what's left of Hillary down here. Here's the clouds that spread from this whole ring of fire. And it's actually even spreading into the northeast now. Then you look down here in the Gulf. That's right, there's a tropical system that's ongoing now in the Gulf. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And that does have some impacts potentially for Texas. Let's take a look at air qualities. They're not the best in a lot of places in the United States. In the East, we do have some unhealthy air qualities. And as we come to the West, I hope it's going to come up. We see some really bad, extremely dangerous air qualities in Washington, Oregon, California, even portions of Idaho. Really dangerous if you're in this area. If you're an asthma, allergy sufferer, maybe you have difficulty breathing and you have a respiratory, COPD, today's not the day you want to go outdoors. You want to stay indoors as much as possible, unless you're in the path of the wildfire and they tell you have to evacuate. Then you have no choice. You need to evacuate if they tell you to do so, because this is extremely dangerous, my friends. I mean, this is climate change in action right here. You can deny it all you want, but guess what? This is really bad, and something needs to be done about it. There's not enough rain in this area. Now, they're usually a wetter climate, but at the moment, no. And there's been winds going over dry ground, which have sparked wildfires, and now really bad air quality. And there is a concern with the ring of fire that this could get spread, and it could spread through Canada, where Canada has seen numerous amounts of days where it's unsafe air quality. So yes, this is just not good. Let's take a look at the national hazards map. Speaking of not good, let's refresh it in case there's any updates. We still have the ongoing flooding threats in the west. That's going to continue for the rest of today. It'll gradually taper down later tonight. And then look at the midsection of the country. Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, Texas, Oklahoma City. I mean, on and on it goes. Look at this. Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. This is some extreme heat. We're talking temperatures that could get well into the 90s and well over 100s. Heat indices, 110 to 120 in some places, and it's going to continue for multiple more days. There is no sign of this slowing down anytime soon. This is extreme, life-threatening, dangerous heat. If you have to go outside and you live in this area, we're talking millions of people right here. Please take it easy. Watch out for heat strokes. Check on your elderly. Make sure they have air conditioning that's working. This is really dangerous heat. All right, real quickly, not much to talk about in the storm section today. Severe thunderstorms, not really much of a threat. We'll have to watch Texas tomorrow. With this tropical system that's developing, there could be a tornado threat that unfolds tomorrow. We're already seeing 2% probabilities. There's also 2% probabilities across portions of Utah tomorrow as well for potential tornadoes. But again, it's not really that big of a threat this week. But tomorrow we'll have to watch. That may go up to a slight risk. And speaking of severe storms, let's revisit yesterday. There was just one report yesterday in Arizona. There was no tornadoes that actually played out at this moment with what was left of Hillary. All right, moving on to a very busy picture here. We want to take a look at what's going on with potential tropical cyclone here in the Gulf. We do have yet another system. It could become a tropical storm. It could become a named tropical storm later on today. Hopefully we get some reckon data out of this, meaning they fly into it, they investigate the storm, and they tell us, hey, what's going on here? You can see it's not really all that organized, but it is gradually, slowly organizing. You can see here the flow. It's starting to organize itself a little bit, and it is expected that by the time it does reach southern Texas and northern Mexico, as you can see here, it is expected to become a tropical storm. So tropical storm watches and warnings, they are now up for portions of Texas, and landfall would be 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So it doesn't have a huge window of time where this could really organize, but it will at least get to a depression or tropical storm, and they're going with a tropical storm at this time. And now let's take a look at the rest of the hurricane scenario. Oh yes, we have another disturbance that just came off of Africa recently. We have Emily, and then we have Gert, then we have Franklin, and there's that potential tropical cyclone 9, as it's called right now. Franklin is one that we want to take a look at, because Franklin does have some threats for Hispaniola at this time. Let's see, where is Franklin? Here's Franklin right here. So you can see it is going to impact Hispaniola Tuesday night into Wednesday. Exactly where this crosses in Hispaniola is key. There is a mountainous region in Hispaniola, and with that, if it goes over the higher terrain, it would weaken more significantly before potentially redeveloping. If it goes into lower levels, it would stay more intact. So we'll have to watch. After that, there's a lot of questions on the models. Obviously, it is going to make a little bit of a turn here because there's multiple troughs that will set up a southwesterly flow that is going to result in this system being able to turn a little bit more to the east. Then you can see here the cone of uncertainty gets a little bit bigger. It is expected to become a hurricane over the weekend, and so it is going to strengthen. There is shear, but by the time we get to Saturday, that shear is going to lessen somewhat. You can see here's Bermuda up here. Not in range yet. We'll have to watch. Could this be a threat to Bermuda? Yes. Could this shift a little bit further west? That's a possibility as well. Let's take a look at some modeling guidance. I thought we would take a look at the GFS here. Here's the GFS. Here is Franklin right here. Watch what happens. It goes over Hispaniola. It does get into the 990s pressure, but watch what happens afterwards. It weakens. Then it goes into 1000s, but watch what happens. It does go east, and GFS is a little bit further with its eastward progression, but watch what happens afterwards. It really strengthens. Then it turns back west again. Look how far west it gets. It actually goes west of Bermuda. You can see the previous run. Here it was, right here. And you can see on the new run, look where it ends up. Yes, west of Bermuda. Will this be an East Coast threat, or will it be a threat to Bermuda, or will it go somewhere in between? Honestly, at this point in the game, it is way too soon to tell. Why? Because we really need to see what happens when it crosses Hispaniola. There's even the potential that it could completely fizzle, because the mountainous terrain, it can do that. But should it not fizzle, which we don't think it will, we think it will at least stay intact in some way, shape, or form before redeveloping, we have to watch. Because, there are some ensembles, and I'll show that to you now. Let's take a look at the GAEFS, and here I will show you all the various different tracks. Let's rewind that a little bit. So here's the GFS. You can see, even on GFS, there's some confusion as to where it's going to cross over Hispaniola. But there is agreement that it will redevelopment afterwards. It will redevelop. But look what happens here. Some take it more east to Bermuda. Some really take it to the west and accelerate it towards almost Long Island. Don't take that literally. I mean, it's pretty far out there. But what I'm just showing you here is that there is some uncertainty beyond the NHC forecast time frame. So it's something we'll have to watch. I'm not sold that this is going to be an East Coast threat. I'm not sold that it's going to be a Bermuda threat. It's just something I'm getting you to keep your eyes on, because you know what? Things do happen rather quickly with these models. We have seen time and time again where systems pass over to Hispaniola Islands, the system redevelops, and the modeling suddenly changes. And I want you to be prepared. So right now, we're just going to watch it up until about this point. What happens after Friday? Check back later in the week. All right, let's go back to the Hurricane Center for a second. One other thing I want to show you. Gert and Emily. It's now post-tropical cyclone Emily. Not a threat to land. And I will show you Gert as well. Gert, there's not much left of Gert. Gert is going to be out of the picture in the next 2 days. All right, let's move on now and take a look at the rest of the United States weather. And first off, let's take a look at radar real quickly. You can see here's that rainfall that's in the Gulf of Mexico. That's some of that with that system is already going to come towards Texas. Southern Texas, you really do need the rainfall. Here's the continuing rainfall in the northern Rockies. You can see Arizona and Utah, you're getting some rainfall today as well. Some showers and thunderstorms in extreme southern Florida today. Now taking a look at the GFS for the, let's take a look at the extended range. So you can see here, that system does become a tropical storm, comes on ashore of Texas, and as I advance this, look what happens here. You do get relatively quiet conditions across the United States. There will be a front that moves through later in the week in the Northeast, and that will bring in somewhat cooler weather for the Northeast. And you can see in the South there will also be some showers and thunderstorms expected across the Gulf Coast region. But what I really want to show you now is temperatures. Take a look at this, and you can see the temperatures will continue to be hot in the plains. Look at today, 100s. Tomorrow, 100s. Wednesday, look at this, even more widespread 100s. Thursday, it continues. Friday, it starts to spread back towards the northeast, but eventually in the northeast it will get cooler. Look at this. So we head into Saturday. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. Upper 50s and mid 60s for parts of New England, but look in the south. Extremely hot conditions come back again, and that's going to last for several days, and eventually the heat will build back again in the plains. So basically it's going to circle itself and go back up again northward, building into plains as we head into next week. And of course that's something that we will continue to watch. Taking a look at the drought situation, you can see where there will be some tropical moisture in Texas, that potential tropical system. There actually is a need for rainfall at this time. There's a need for rainfall in the central plains, but guess what? Quite frankly, you're not going to get it. Not terribly concerned about the Northeast just yet. We'll have to watch, though, because if it continues to be dry, if there isn't much precipitation over the next 7 days, this could have potentially become a dry area again. The Weather Prediction Center is saying with the troughing that's going to come in, there will be a chance for some precipitation. You can see there will be some precipitation in South Texas, and look across the Four Corners region. Some precipitation is expected there as well. Alrighty, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and you can see on the latest outlook here, which is just coming in right now as we're doing this recording, below average temperatures in the northeast, well above average in the south, and even up into the northwest. Yes, there's no relief coming for Washington. Fortunately, you're not going to get much precipitation either, so those wildfires are going to continue to rage on. 8 to 14 days, which is just updating. You can see here, well below average in the northeast, well above average temperatures continuing across portions of Texas. Not good. And in the plains, we think there's potential that this could even trend warmer than this. Taking a look at 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, above average on the east coast, below average in between. Finally, maybe a little bit wetter in the Pacific Northwest. We'll have to see. I think this could be slightly overdone. But if this was to be correct, and let's update this, because yes, it just did update. If this was to be correct, guess what would happen? It would be good news for the wildfires, but I'm not sold on just yet. Let's refresh this because this just updated as well. Hot off the presses. 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook. Above average precipitation in the west. Below average in the plains, and even into portions of the northeast. And I do tend to agree with this. It's not going to be a terribly wet pattern. In fact, it's going to be a dry pattern. The only thing that would change this is if Franklin entered a picture, which at this time, I'm going to repeat, I am not forecasting Franklin to hit the U.S. I'm just raising awareness that there's a couple ensembles out there here and there that say, hey, wait a second, maybe it'll track a little bit more west, and if that would happen, we would see some higher wave activity along the East Coast. But of course, we have to continue to watch Franklin because we don't know what's going to happen when it goes over Hispaniola. We'll have to see how well intact it stays. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's climate update. We covered a lot of things today, didn't we? We'll have another climate update again tomorrow, updating on everything that we covered today. I will see you all again next time. If you like this content, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone that would enjoy watching these videos, by all means, share this with everyone. And have a great day. I will see you all again next time. Thanks for watching.